We arrived with the ferry from Labrador and landed in St. Barbe on Newfoundland. Ursula planned the trip to follow the North Shore all the way to St. John's. Our journey begins here on the Great Northern Peninsula. Welcome to our escapades. Ursula is the navigator, my name is Dieter and I'm the wheelman. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and explore Canada with us. This is the second video from our Labrador and Newfoundland trip. And we had to be here early in St. Anthony. The Iceberg Festival started 2 days ago. And we are here for the hunt. The hunt for icebergs. Our campground was only a few minutes away from Meadows. On the drive up from the ferry, we kept our eyes open for icebergs. A few minutes before we arrived at the campground, we saw 2 of them not too far out. We set up camp at the Viking RV park. The site was very well maintained and they had moose burger on the menu. Meadows was so close to the camp, it was the first place we visited. The rebuilt structures are impressive. The fires and Viking characters add authenticity to the settlement, and they had interesting stories to tell. We followed the trail to the coast and back through the bog. We stopped by the Grenfell Historic Society in St. Anthony. We are always looking for places we can go that are not in the travel guide. So we asked one of the staff, is there a place we can go with the jeep that is not in the travel guide? And his answer was, turn right by the floatplane and keep on going. The road is the American Drive and turns to gravel. We arrived at the remains of the radar station. It was in use from 1953 to 1968. Some structures are still standing, but the view from there is more impressive. We returned to St. Anthony and drove to the Fox Point Lighthouse for 2 reasons. Visit the lighthouse and get dinner at the Lightkeeper's Seafood just beside the lighthouse. The sun was setting and we made it just in time to get to the Flat Point lookout near Great Brehat. We were losing track of the icebergs we spotted. This one may have been the same we saw from the radar station. A new day, a new adventure. Ship Cove and Cape Onion. Who needs an off-road trail when you have potholes? It was still too early in the season and the road crews didn't get to them yet. We hiked part of the Trinas Trail and as usual, the view was spectacular. We had Onion Cove to the east and Diable Cove to the west. We love these names here in Newfoundland. Interesting. On the way back from Cape Onion, a visit to the Burnt Cape Ecological Reserve. Plants are struggling to survive in this environment. According to the website, there are 300 plant species and 30 of them are considered rare. Yes, we remember these snow-covered mountains in the background across the Strait of Belle Isle. This is Labrador. We went for a short walk along the shore of the reserve. There is always something to see. The town across the Haha Bay is Raleigh. Yup, Haha Bay is a place. On the way to Cape Norman, we pulled over at an interesting rock formation. The area here is known as a limestone barren and is home to rare plants. The Cape Norman Lighthouse is in operation since 1871. The structure we see is not the original building. It was rebuilt in 1964. Our next base camp was in the Gros Morne National Park, the Norris Point campground. Before we get to our Gros Morne experience, we had other random encounters. The wildlife is one of them. Here on the Great Northern Peninsula, we saw the most wild rabbits, moose and caribou. Our campground was only minutes away from rocky Harbour. We visited the Java Jack's restaurant. As usual, I asked for a recommendation and the server suggested the wild rabbit prepared from a family recipe. In Port au Choix, we had lunch at the Anchor Cafe. We took a picture from the restaurant and the guy in an overall asked, "Do you want the picture taken with you?" I replied, "No, I didn't put on my makeup this morning." He replies, "I put mine on the overall." Me, "What do you recommend for lunch?" Him, "Roast beef burgers. I cured it yesterday. I own this place." So we had roast beef burgers. They were tasty, tender and fully loaded. We needed some exercise after this great meal and visited the Parks Canada limestone barrens. There is an exhibit about the Dorset people who lived here a long time ago. The Ritchie Lighthouse is down the road. We had to visit the Arches Provincial Park. We have fond memories from 1992 when we were here with our 8-year-old son. Well, the arches didn't change much, still as impressive as last time. The shipwreck of the SS Etty was not what we envisioned. We were expecting a ship, but more than 100 years of corrosion left only a few artifacts. What is more interesting, there are songs and theatre performances about the SS Etty. No surprise, considering that the ship was lost, everybody was saved, and the story is well told on the historic plates on the side. We love to visit lighthouses. We entered the Lobster Cove Head Lighthouse and were greeted by a park employee. We got talking about the lighthouse and everything Newfoundland. Turns out that he owns the ship that was parked outside. He recommended to take the service road up the coast, and so we did. We found an abandoned zinc mine. The structures were bulldozed and all that was left were a few metal pieces sticking out of the ground. We were not the first ones here, obviously, and continued our trip towards Devil's Cove. The highway may have been the obvious choice, but not for us. As long as there is a bridge or a road, we keep on wheeling. We were here 30 years ago and we were looking forward to revisit the Western Brook Pond cruise. The cruise was cancelled due to high winds. We walked the 3-kilometer trail to the tour boats anyway, fighting the wind and spray from the small lake along the trail. In the distance we could see the mist from the lake blowing up into the air. We read about the Tablelands and had to see the 1.2 billion year old rocks. The scenery was stunning, the wind was heavy, and the rocks were, well, old. This is without a doubt a place to see. The last night here, we stopped along the rocky harbour pond and enjoyed the magnificent mountains in the evening. It was time to move on. We didn't spend much time at the popular tourist attractions. Usually we talk to people and they send us to interesting places like the radar station. To be honest, it was not difficult to find undisturbed places on Newfoundland. Most of the capes, they have a lighthouse, a short trail, quiet beach and sometimes even a restaurant where they serve homemade goodies. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Our next story will be about Baie Verte and Pillis Island. These are the two places that over-delivered on our expectation and the Newfoundland experience. Thank you for watching and we'll see you out there.